In this video, I want to show you how to use our new templates to cut out the recess on your router table. I also want to talk to you about our new router table insert plate and all the added features that we included in this brand new plate. My name is Kevin from Wood Grain Junkie, and I want to welcome you back to our channel. And if this is your first time here, then welcome. These templates have several rings to make the job a lot easier, but you will need some suggested plunge bits, but you could get creative and use your own method. You might even find an easier way to use it. The templates come with a paper mask, but you could either leave it on or you can remove it. I chose to leave it on because it shows better on camera. Plus, I didn't want to get all the glare from the acrylic. You might also be thinking, why so many damn rings? But that'll all make sense once we get started. Also, just note that the method we're going to use applies to the large and the small template. They both work the same way. You'll also get to see a lot of the new features that we've incorporated into this plate. The previous version was cool, but I think you'll really like this one. Anyway, just some of the high-level features are set screws to level your plate, slots so you could include a small DIY fence, and a starter pin, just to mention a few of the benefits. So with all of that in mind, let's get started. First, we want to center our template, and I'll do that by measuring the table first. In my case, it's 32 inches. Then I'll measure the template, which is 13.75 inches, and subtract that from the 32 inches and I get 18.25 inches. Divide that by 2 and I'm left with 9.125 or 9 1/8. That's the distance I'll use between the edge of the table and the edge of the template. Now you can do the same to center in the other direction, but I'm going to use the seam from the Formica to line up my template. It'll help disguise how cheap I am and the fact that I use scraps rather than buy another sheet of Formica. To attach the template, you'll want to temporarily hold down the outer ring using regular tape. I'll check my measurements once more. Then insert the 2 inner rings. This is only to align the center section. Now you can apply double-sided tape to the center section. You don't need a whole lot. I'm only applying a strip to the edges, and that's plenty strong. You may have noticed I left the paper film on the template as well. You can remove it or keep it on. I kept it on to make it more visible for the video and so I don't get any glare from the lights. Once the center section is nice and secure, you can remove the temporary tape and use double-sided tape to hold down the outer ring. Now you have to remove the 2 inner rings, and I do that by grabbing some tape and using it to get them out. Now you can clear out your surface and get ready to route. To adjust the depth, I'm using the thickness of the template plus the thickness of the insert plate plus 3 plain cards. That will give me enough depth for the insert plate to rest into and not sit above the surface of the tabletop. Lower the depth adjustment on your plunge base and tighten. The bit I'm using is an Amana Tool 3/8 plunge pattern bit. This bit has a bearing that will ride against the template, so even though you adjust it to the final depth, don't do it all in one pass. I did it in 3 passes. Just remember, the first pass needs to ride against the template. Then you can lower the bit for the next pass. You'll want to remove the entire channel, not just along the edges. It'll make more sense on the next step. But here's a pro tip. When you're cutting along the outer ring, you'll want to cut clockwise. When you cut along the center section, make sure you cut counterclockwise. Remember to clear out anything left in the center of the channel. You'll want a clean surface. Then repeat this step until you're at your final depth. Once you're done routing, dust off all the nasty MDF dust and use your shop vac as well. Now carefully remove the template. The outer ring will come off pretty easy. Double-sided tape works great and you don't need a whole lot to hold it down. Just make sure you're sliding your fingers under and not yanking just from one end. For the center section, you might need a spatula to get it off. Now let's swap out the bit. I'm going to change it to another Amana Tool plunge pattern bit, except this one is a 1/4 inch diameter with a 3/4 inch cutting height or depth. This one will plunge all the way through to cut out the center section. Now grab the inner ring, not the very thin one. That one already served its purpose. Attach it with double-sided tape like we did the first two. Even though it'll be secured inside the channel, we don't want it popping up while routing. Let me pause here and say you don't need to use the inner template to cut out the center section. The thin inner ring served as a gap so you can drill some holes and cut it out with your jigsaw. But if you desire clean cuts and perfection, then use the inner ring. It's very difficult to show this, but you'll want to plunge a circle, slowly going all the way through the material. You can cut a little close to the template, just don't cut into it. Now, you'll adjust your depth so the bearing lines up with the template. Once you're all lined up, you can ride your bit against the template, cutting out the center section. Also, make sure to cut clockwise. The benefit of the inner ring is that it provided that gap for your pattern bit. This would be much more difficult to cut without that gap. As you cut around, you can use the center section to balance your router, but keep in mind, as you get close to the end, you'll have to support the router on the table side since the center piece will be fully cut, as you'll see here. Now I'm just giving it a final pass just in case I missed a spot. Remember, we're shooting for perfection. If you're finding some value in these videos, please consider subscribing and sharing it with other woodworkers, DIYers, and weekend warriors. It'll help boost our channel as we create other useful tools and accessories that will help you out in the shop. Okay, back to the video. We'll do a quick cleanup and remove the inner ring. And now for the part we've all been waiting for. Hey, look at that! Perfect fit! As I'm mounting the plate to the router, let me say that this template will fit most of the insert plates out there that measure the standard 11.75 by 9.25 inches. So you don't have to use my insert plate, although if you're seeking perfection, just saying. Anyway, if you decide to purchase one of my insert plates, you have the option to purchase the template at a discounted price. And if you don't, you can still purchase the template solo. Our insert plate comes with 4 set screws, so you can easily adjust your plate to be flush with your router tabletop. Use some sort of straight edge to feel for the edge and back off the set screw so your plate sits just under the surface. Do this on the side where your workpiece will enter so it doesn't get caught. On the opposite end, do the same, but your plate should sit just above the surface of the tabletop. Again, imagine your workpiece riding the entire surface and you don't want the edge getting caught on the seams. I'm using a piece of plywood to make sure it doesn't get caught on any of the edges. And it looks like we're good. Before we test out this bad boy, I want to talk about some of the other features of our insert plate. One of them being that each plate will support a full-size router and the trim router of the same brand. Nothing annoys me more than a universal base plate with dozens of hole patterns I have to fumble through. On our website, you'll find the supported models to make sure it will fit your set of routers and it will be a perfect match. We're also adding to the models we support. Another feature is our insert plates have slots so you can make a small router fence for dust collection or other accessories. We do offer a set of stainless steel bolts and high quality star knobs as an option, but you'll need to make your own fence. I know adding T-track channels can be intimidating for some, especially beginners, so this could be a great option to get you on your way. I attached a 2-inch ABS coupler which accepts these Centec adapters nicely. Okay, enough shilling my own products. Let's test it out. First, I'll use that center section I cut out earlier and cut a decent sized chamfer on it. It's hard to see, but the dust collection is getting a big chunk of the messy MDF dust. Some of it is definitely getting stuck underneath the plate. I think attaching some dust collection from underneath would help. Now I'll try some plywood. It seems like very similar results, except you do get bigger chunks versus the fine dust from the MDF. But having some form of dust collection is 100 times better than no dust collection at all. But this is not a dust collection review, so I'll leave it there. And there you have it, a quick and simple way to cut the rabbet for your new insert plate. If you ordered the insert plate from Wood Grain Junkie, let me just say thank you. It really helps support our small business, and we're constantly looking for ways to help elevate our fellow woodworkers. If you're considering buying from us, I hope this video helps in your decision. Also, feel free to email us with any questions we didn't answer in this video or on our website. I'll link to all the things below, and with that, we thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.